Most airbrushes fit into one of three categories. You've either got the gravity feed airbrush, you've got the side feed, or you've got the bottom feed. This is the Badger 360 Universal. This didn't fall into any of the categories because this can be anything you want. And with the aid of a rotating head assembly, this has a seal inside it, you can actually turn the cup all the way around and turn this into a bottle feed. It's got the correct size opening in the cup to accept the standard size bottle, and then when you want to use it as a gravity feed, simply turn it around to the top again. It's a great idea. I mean, you could have this as your one and only brush if you wanted to. It's suitable for all sorts of applications, custom work, illustration, anything you want. The seals are solvent resistant. If you ever need to change the seals in this head assembly, you can either send it back to Badger, or they will actually send you back a seal kit with instructions so that you can do it yourself if you're confident in that. So we'll just strip this down. I actually had to take it to bits and put it back together again. Okay, as usual, first things first, handle comes off. Now we're going to undo the chucking nut. I'm just going to press down on the trigger to take everything out of the way of the needle, and I'm just going to slide the needle straight out. This is a universal needle and nozzle, so this is good for fine lines and sort of general spraying. Okay, now I'm going to take the chucking nut off. Now this assembly all comes out together. The needle guide and the spring are all housed in one unit, so just screw that all the way out. There's quite a fine thread on this, so there you go, that's all in one. Okay, now pull the trigger out. It's just a simple stem with a recess on the bottom which sits on top of the valve, and this is the trigger lever or back lever. Simply comes out. I'm moving around to the front of the airbrush. Take off the regulator. So now you can see the nozzle. Nozzle's the cone shape. No threads on this, just sits in the airbrush body. Okay, take this off. Everything's finger tight. And there you have it, there's the universal nozzle. And that's it. I'm not going to go any further with this because it's assembled correctly, and there's no point, there would be no point in taking this to bits any further unless you've got some problems. So that's as far as we need to go generally. Okay, what we're going to do now is I'm going to put this back together again. So starting off at the front, we'll just drop the nozzle in. Sometimes it helps to put a little bit of lube on the back face of this nozzle just to hold it into the body while you're putting it together. Okay, then we've got the retainer on top. Just be careful not to touch the end of the nozzle, don't want to damage it. Just screws up, finger tight, screws against an O-ring here, so just finger tight. Then we've got the air cap on the top there. So that's the front done. Move around to the back. Slightly more fiddly on the back end because we've got to drop this back lever in, like so. Put the trigger in now. You're just dropping this on the top of the air valve. Press it down, you'll know when you're on top of the air valve in the correct position. Okay. We'll just let the trigger lever fall forward so it's sitting against the trigger. And now we're going to put this assembly back in. Now this assembly does all the way up tight, so just make sure that this is free sliding in this unit. Just keep pulling back on this to make sure this is free all the time. I'm going to press down on the trigger so it doesn't fall out at all. I'm just going to pull back so that the back lever, the trigger lever, that's it, stays in one place. Okay, keep pulling this back, just make sure it's still free. Doing up the whole assembly. There we are. I'm just going to nip that up pretty tight, well, finger tight. So that's free, and it's against the back of the trigger. So there we are. That's all assembled now. Next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to put the needle chuck nut on. Don't do it up. Okay, and the next thing is to just slide the needle in. Press down on the trigger, just keep it out of the way of the needle. And as I'm inserting the needle, I'm just going to give it a bit of a twist just to get through the seals, okay. And you can see it protruding out the end of the nozzle. Just give it a little bit of a push, so just feel it seating on there, and that's it. We'll nip the chuck up, and there you've got it. So now we just put the handle back on. And that's it. Job done. If you want to adjust the tension on the trigger spring, just undo the handle, and this here, if you unscrew this section out, it'll release some of the tension on the spring and make this lighter. That's why you've got to keep this assembly done up tight in the body so that you can actually turn this independently. As it comes from the factory, this is just done up straight against there. They're just assuming that they'll start off with the tightest tension you can get. Of course, that's having this assembly tightened up in the body as well allows you to undo this without the whole thing rotating. So I'll just reseat that. So there we go. Handle back on, and that's it. So there you have the Badger 360 Universal, probably the one of the most unique airbrushes around at the moment. As I said, everything seems to fit into one of three categories, but this fulfills everything. Got an all-in-one needle nozzle, use it for just about anything, solvent proof, and of course you've got the ability to use suction bottles or just gravity feed if you're doing some finer illustration work. As I said, there's no reason why you couldn't actually turn this through 90 degrees really and use it as a side feed if you've got a suitable colour cup. If you were doing some auto graphics or something and you needed the paint reservoir out of the way, or if you're working slightly upside down or something, I'm sure you could find a few different uses for what Badger have designed into this airbrush. So it's a very good tool and completely unique.